So, Jail Life Part 3. After I thought about it, I'm going to make Part 3 as one video, but it was actually broken into two parts. So, 2012, one morning I'm in bed and I hear this bang, bang, bang on the door, bang, bang, bang on the door. My housemate was at work. Anyway, bang, bang, bang on the door. Who the fuck is waking me up? I go to the door and it was three detectives just walking away from the door. They sprinted back. One had a video camera in his hand. There was two men and one woman, detectives. Anyway, they sprinted back to the front door. Am I Dwayne Edward Grant? Yes, that's me. You're under arrest. We've got a general search warrant. Want to search your house. We want you to sit down on the lounge. We don't want you to say anything whatsoever. We're going to search the house and we're going to convey you back to the City Watch House where we want to conduct a formal interview. We'll ask you not to say anything. Do you understand? What? I was just like completely stunned and shocked. Anyway, do I understand? Well, yeah, all right. Then they asked me, is there anything in the home that's going to hurt them? Blah, blah, blah. I said no. They asked where the electronic devices were, phones and laptops and stuff, and they seized them all, and they looked through my computer desk and notes and so forth. They took some, I don't know, they took a Foxtel bill or something. That's right, because I said I was living there, etc., etc. Anyway, I went through the place. My housemate was pretty pissed that they took her computers as well. She had two laptops, I think they took. Anyway, sitting in the back seat, they had the video camera on me the whole time. I remember the detective ran a red light, and I sort of said, oh, good thing you had a cropper, eh? Sort of thing. And he said, oh, we get fined just like everybody else. And they asked me, look, we've asked you not to speak, don't say anything till we get back to the City Watch House. Oh, shit, okay. So, arrived back to the City Watch House, I'm processed. And it's quite a drive. I was living in Golden Grove at the time. And yeah, drive into the city. Anyway, so we get there, and then they processed me through the charge sergeant. Made it very clear that they didn't want me to get bail, and went into this interview room that had a video the whole time, and there's a recorder on the table. I think you're speaking to a microphone. I can't remember exactly. Anyway, the sort of gravity hit home. The charges were fairly serious, and I thought, And then they asked me, do I want to speak to a lawyer? I thought, oh yeah, best I do. So I don't have a lawyer on speed dial. And they said, okay, we've got a duty solicitor, they called it. So I spoke to him. Duty solicitor said, look mate, in these circumstances he wouldn't give any statement. I said, oh, okay. I said, but that's probably going to impact their decision to refuse to give me bail. He said, look mate, cops have a habit of any smirk, any nuance, any hesitation or whatever, that they'll interpret that any way they can in an adverse way to help make their case. He said, I strongly recommend you don't give any statement. And I said, but I can tidy this up right now. No, I recommend you don't give. Okay, I'm not giving a statement. So I hung up. The coppers came back in, and they said, okay, we'd like to interview you now, formal interview. And I said, look, I've spoken to a lawyer, and he said that just like you see in the movies, you have the right to remain silent. And in law speak, even if it's something that goes to a jury or a judge alone, they're not permitted to draw an adverse inference because I exercise my right to remain silent. So in other words, what that means is they can't hold that against me. So police always offer you that option when they arrest you for something, and then they subsequently want to interview you, and you can say, look, I'm not going to answer any questions. I don't want to be interviewed, and that's it. So they were sort of disgusted with me, and they said, right, we're refusing bail. Then I wanted to speak to a magistrate on the phone because I wanted to immediately appeal that decision to refuse bail because I thought it was just over the top. Anyway, I spoke to the magistrate and he said, you only get so many chances to apply for bail. If I apply to him over the phone and he doesn't accept what I'm saying, bail will be refused. That's one opportunity gone. And he said it's always best to get a lawyer on hand and get them to make a proper application for bail. So I said, oh, okay, all right. So he said if I retract my application for him to consider bail, then that won't count as one opportunity that I've used up to try and get bail. So I said, okay, I retract it, which meant I'm staying in custody. So on that first stanza of the arrested and charged in 2012, I spent approximately 3.5 months in jail. And this time they didn't send me to the remand centre at all, which is unusual in itself. They kept me in the city watch house for about 2 weeks. All the jails were full, apparently, because at that time we had a blitz on against criminals, and they just wanted to throw them all in jail. And anyone, even though you're just charged, you're not convicted of anything, you're viewed as a criminal, and they just want to keep you in for as long as they can. So they kept me in the watch house for about 2 weeks. When you're in the watch house, you don't have any visitors whatsoever. There's no visiting rights. There's no TV. There's a few books that have been pissed on and wanked on or whatever. It's just a very cold concrete. There's no showers or toilets. Hang on, there's toilets in the cell, no showers. Once a day you sort of march from a couple at a time, usually, from the cells to the shower, have a shower, and they let you make one phone call a day. They dial, and you're just talking on it. We're talking on a normal phone. Anyway, I spent 2 weeks there, and then about 8 o'clock one night, they said, "Yep, get your shit in it." You know, they just pushed a plastic garbage bag. So, get your shit together. You're going to Yatala. Fuck, what Yatala? Going straight to the big house. Oh, you don't have any choice or say in the matter. So off I went to Yatala, and had never been there before. Didn't know what to expect. Didn't know anything. I was because I've been stressing out about all this. One of my failures is I tend to eat a lot when I'm stressed, and put a lot of weight on, and off to Yatala. And then I remember they have like an induction section. Most jails, where you enter is called Sallyport. I think that's an Aboriginal word that sort of means entrance, passing through or something, because no one's, except for a short period till your process is held in jail in Sallyport. It's just an entrance, it's a thoroughfare, if you like. Anyway, I went there, and they in that area you had to wear Yatala issued overalls. Anyway, they strip search you, squat over a mirror, all just like what you see in the movies, cough. And they give you new jocks, and you got to put some overalls on, and a pair of shoes, and the overalls didn't fit. The biggest size they had wasn't big enough, and so I sort of could only just sort of pull it up to my waist, but I couldn't get it up over my shoulders, and had no top on, so looked kind of fucking ridiculous, really. But anyway, then they said everyone has to see the nurses before they take me over to G. I said, what's G? And they take great delight, especially if you're a newbie, of kind of sort of trying to, well, frighten you or add to your apprehension and stress even more by not telling you. And then also it's under the guise of security. They just don't explain what's going on, and that kind of shit does my head in. Even life, situations nothing to do with jail and so forth. I just like to know, have an understanding of what's going on. But anyway, I don't tell you anything. So I had no idea what G meant. G is the punishment wing, solitary confinement of Yatala Labour Prison. It's a maximum security prison, so that's where the worst of the worst are held. Anyway, they sent me to the nurse because that's just sort of mandatory when you first go in. I tell you, I've got these bloody cats that live here. Housemate's got cats, and I'm allergic to them, and I get like a hair in my eye or something, and it just fucking waters like buggery. Pisses me off. Anyway, not a big fan of cats, but I put up with them. They're right sometimes. Anyway, go to the nurses, and then they sort of interview me, check me over, and they kind of did this interview, and they asked like loaded questions. And it's like, there's not really, I said, hang on, this is a double-edged sword. Anyway, the questions went something like this. It's sort of like, check your name, do your blood pressure, ask any medical conditions you have, what medications were you on before your arrest, blah, 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 and so forth. And then it comes to, are you happy that you're here? I said, is anybody happy to be in jail? I said, no, I'm not happy at all. No, I'm very unhappy. I said, oh, okay. They said, have you ever been exposed to anybody that's committed suicide? Well, so I answered honestly. I said, well, as a matter of fact, my father committed suicide. Gassed himself in a car, 1999. Oh, they're scribbling down madly. And then they said, oh, okay, so have you yourself, meaning me, ever thought of self-harming? I said, oh, I think about dying a lot, but I don't think I'd have the courage. I mean, my dad, when he killed himself, he pinched his pinched his girlfriend's car, drove it to his house, backed it into his garage, stole a neighbour's hose, cut 3 lengths, put a sock on the ends that went into the exhaust pipe, got a book that's called Show Me a Hero, rolled himself a drum cigarette, and started the car up and put all the windows up and just sat in the car and just fell asleep and never woke up. And then the car ran out of petrol eventually, and there he was sitting there and had a port wine stain on the side of his head, because when he died he sort of leant against the window with his head, I suppose. Apparently blood pools even though he was sitting up. Anyway, fuck him, he's an arsehole. Anyway, he was in jail because he killed my mum. Anyway, so go to Yatala, and they they're back to the nurses, and they sort of say, have I ever thought of self-harming? I said, oh, look, no, not really. I wouldn't have the guts. I think if I tried to do what my old man would do, I mean, all you got to do is open the door and turn the car off. I couldn't just sit there, because once you fall asleep, that's it. You can't save yourself, and no one's going to save me. Anyway, so I said, no, I wouldn't. Then they sort of said, have you ever thought of entering into a pact with others to do like a mass suicide? I said, what, like Jonestown or something? I said, no, that'd be silly. They said, oh, okay. They said, well, if you were thinking about it, would you tell us? And I said, look, well, I'm trying to be forthright and honest and, give legitimate responses to the question. I said, look, if I really wanted to kill myself, But no, I wouldn't tell you. I mean, that would be disingenuous, wouldn't it? I want to kill myself. What's the point of telling you? You're going to take steps to prevent me. I said, no, I wouldn't tell you. Oh, fucking hell, like writing heaps, So you wouldn't tell us then, And I said, well, no, because then, then I don't really want to kill myself because I'm telling you beforehand. So what that meant is they put me on what's called yellow sheet. So that means someone who's at risk of self-harm. What the fuck? And then that comes with all sorts of conditions in terms of your incarceration. You can never be left alone in a cell. Every morning you get up, after cell inspection, or, clean your cell inspection, you have to go see the nurse, and give an update how you're feeling. Are you okay? You don't want to kill yourself? No. And it's like, fuck. And the other prisoners get pissed off because, for example, say if my cellmate has to go to court or he gets shipped out to another jail or something, that would mean I'm on my own. No. So what happens is then I have to, even if it's a 2-up cell, I have to go and spend that period of time in their cell with somebody else, that the cell's already full, just because I'm not allowed to be on my own. It's a fucking nuisance. It really is. Anyway, and I just, afterwards, I've had a lot of thought about that interview with the nurses, and I think it's kind of like loaded questions. There's, all right, so I guess you should lie. Oh, yeah, of course I'd tell you I want to kill myself. No, you don't. And I forgot to say one other feature that happened. The very first night I was in the City Watch House, I don't know, about, 8:30, 9 o'clock, some other crim comes into the cell in the watch house, and all I remember is I said, oh, how you going, what's your name? He said, Snowy. I'm Dwayne. Yeah. No, yeah, good to meet you, mate. Fucking shithole this is, he said. Yeah. And anyway, just was laying down reading a novel, and must have fallen asleep. And then at some point, I'm really not sure what time it was, but get the impression it's past midnight, but before, say, 3 o'clock, so somewhere in that area, and the lights are all on, and there's a number of prison staff in the cell. What the fuck? What's going on? Shut up, Kramer. Go back to sleep. What's going on? And it turns out Snowy's cut his wrists. Fucking hell, that was my very first night in the City Watch House. And so they took him away. I never saw him again. I don't think he died, but there was blood everywhere, and it's like, fucking hell. And I had to clean it up after the morning. But, anyway, so that was the first night in the City Watch House. I thought, fucking hell, this is what I got to look forward to. Anyway, back at Yatala, and then they said, well, you're going to G. And I said, well, yeah, so? And they just sort of said, oh, yeah, okay then. And then they just guards, and then the guards are just standing right there, right in the doorway listening. Anyway, comes and he says, right, handcuffs, put your hands behind your back. What? Fucking, why? And they said, oh, we're going to G, mate. Well, what's that mean? Didn't really tell me. And anyway, they put me in the back of a van. I had a lot of trouble actually getting in. They kind of just pushed me in, so I sort of fell into the back of the van, sort of thing, because I just couldn't step up with my hands behind my back. How the angle and the tightness of the cuffs and everything, and because a big fella, hands handcuffed behind your back. Anyway, not having my proper balance or core or whatever, they just sort of basically shoved me into the van, and this really rough ride. And we drove from the Sallyport area to G Division. And G Division, as far as I worked out, it's like the offices the offices where they sit are sort of in the middle, and there's 4 corridors that stretch off, and each corridor's got six cells. Each cell is only 1 prisoner per cell. Anyway, there's, of the 24 cells, one is specifically a padded cell that's supposed to be monitored 24 hours a day. Anyway, I get there, and sort of, then I had the worst time trying to get out of the van because I was still like half laying on my side from when they shoved me into the van. And anyway, I get there and they sort of walk me into this tiny room that's probably, I've got an ensuite here, it's probably not much bigger than an ensuite sort of room. Anyway, and suddenly all these guards pile in, and I kid you not, it was probably 10 or so. Anyway, then there's like, he reminded me like a fucking drill sergeant. It's always the smallest little cunt with the biggest voice. But anyway, he's got the juice because he's a prison officer and I'm just a scumbag, criminal in their eyes anyway. And I'm in this tiny little room and they're sort of jostling me. I said, okay, strip. And I barely had room to even sort of, basically just had to let the what do you call it, overalls sort of fall down because they sort of had tied them to my handcuffs behind my back to keep my pants up, and they weren't really up anyway. My sort of dick was hanging out and fucking, and anyway, I said, strip, right, yep, okay, Grahammy, this is G Division, we mean business here, we don't fuck around. And I just remember, I'll never forget him saying at some point, he said, do not raise your arms above your shoulders. If you raise your arms above your shoulders, we will consider that a hostile act and we will put you down. Do you understand? No, but like shouting it into my fucking ears, it's fucking right here. Down a foot because it's a short nuggety cunt. But anyway, and said, yeah, all good, boss, and it's like, fucking hell, and they just barking all these orders, and then they're sort of laughing at me, sort of like, hey, Jonesy, look at this cunt, this looks like you, that sort of shit, mocking me because, I was sort of fat. Anyway, that's neither here nor there, that's just what they do to try to torment you a little bit. Anyway, they, rightio, there's your stuff, and get dressed. And hang on, I've said that wrong. They came in, that's right, and they said they provided me with nothing, no clothes. I just stripped in front of all these men, never met before. They provided me with like a canvas smock, and it's like a fucking tutu because I'm quite tall, and basically you like a triangle. It's got a hole for your head, and where your arms stick out, and it just was long enough to sort of just cover my dick, I suppose. No jocks, no pants, no shoes, no socks, no proper clothing top. Just this smock thing. I said, right, and one says the other, he's in cell whatever. So they marched me down to this cell, and then the first thing I noticed is these cells, it's been business, these cells have double doors. So what the fuck? So one opens outwards, which is a sort of traditional solid steel / wooden door, no windows in the doors whatsoever. The only window would be is if the trap's open. But yeah, obviously it's not. And then on the inside door was bars, but with perspex, like thick perspex you couldn't break. But obviously some prisoners tried to burn through it. And like, yeah, fucking they smuggle anything in, mate. They shove shit up their arse, smokes, fucking lighters, whatever. As soon as they get in, they search, they don't find it or whatever. They're so ingenious how they get shit in. But anyway, so the bars door, which has perspex covering it, so the prisoner can't sort of hang himself off the bars. Not that I've got anything to hang myself with. Anyway, I remember first night, so in there, this sort of tutu smock, no pillow, no blankets, no bedding whatsoever, and in the cell there's like this 2-inch sort of thick canvas, a single mattress on this sort of steel and concrete. I think the whole room's concrete. There's nothing in the, and I was hard of hearing. I've subsequently got hearing aids in 2016, but I've never had hearing aids in my life until then, and so 2016 was way after I got out. But and they sort of said, when you hear keys jangle, you stand at attention against the back wall. If you're not against the back wall, we will come in and put you down. It's like, fucking yeah, right here. No, it said you get a shower once a day, we'll come get you, and you get once a day exercise in the yard. Well, I was there in G for, I think, coming up to nearly 3 weeks, and not once did anyone ever come and get me and say, oh, exercise time. I remember any of the first morning, so what happened, and I have significant hearing loss, and in fact they even took me to hospital to have me tested because they thought I was faking, but it wasn't fake at all, it's real. Anyway, first morning comes, keys jangle, door opens, I'm still laying on the bed. And I sort of like groggy, and they just fucking flew in, and they were so pissed and angry, and they said, fucking blah, blah, blah. Anyway, normally what happens too is when they come in the cell, they don't come in the cell. They tell you to step out. 1 or 2 guards monitor you, watch you standing on the outside of the door, cell door, and then an officer goes in, and he then checks over your room, your cell, sorry. Fuck, these are so long, these vids, I crap on too much. Anyway, so he steps back out and he goes, well, I fucking told you last night, you were told when you hear the keys jangle, you get up. And I said, look, boss, I didn't hear a thing, mate. Blah, 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 I'm past. Oh, fucking bullshit, don't give me that. Every fucking crim says that. You're all the fucking same, low life, blah, blah. Fuck me, mate, I didn't hear you. Anyway, I think they noted that down, sort of thing, but yeah, I really didn't hear him the first one anyway. So they then said, okay, go to the end of the corridor, get 2 paper towel sheets, so 2 squares you're allowed. They said, right, you don't get any cleaning goods, nothing at all, no mop. And they say, right, you've got a half hour to clean your cell. If it's not clean to our satisfaction, then you stay here longer, right? As soon as you start towing the line and doing the right thing, then we think about transferring you out to mainstream, out to a wing somewhere else, not in solitary. And I said, well, and so there's a stainless steel, and I sort of thought to myself when I got put in there, the cell did seem remarkably clean, and they had a stainless steel toilet and drink water fountain, sort of one unit together, no toilet seat, and you weren't allowed to have splash marks inside the bowl, skid marks. There was no brush in there to clean the fucking toilet, nothing. And it's like, and then they're saying, oh, this has got to be polished up, all the stainless steel. They want to see a mark on it. They want to see their reflection in it. Anyway, and it's just uncanny, because I'm quite a hairy guy, hairy body. And, you don't realise until you've got a painted concrete floor and, fucking leg, arm, pubes, chest hairs, whatever, are dropping off you all the time, and normally they would just sort of fall on your clothes, I guess. But when I'm wearing this fucking canvas tutu, that barely fit, and they're fucking having a good laugh at me as well, the cunts. But I'm shedding hair like a fucking cat, I suppose, almost. And it, it was hopelessly inadequate when I tried to clean it. Anyway, they come in, and I saw the cunt. The first thing he did, he jumped up on the bed, sort of stood on the bed, and he ran his finger along. There's a fluoro light high up on the wall, and he ran his fucking finger along. He goes, what we fucking tell you, this has got to be, and there was some dust on there. Fucking hell. No, read me the riot act, slam the fucking door. I forgot to say as well, the very first night, it was freezing, and, you know, heavy, hefty guy that I am, you know, that's one of the benefits, a bit like a whale, you don't sort of get cold very often, but, you know, this is just a concrete box, and I was freezing, and it's like, I had this fucking tutu on, you know, it's like, and I try to curl up into a fetal position, but it's just terrible. It wasn't long enough, and they said, no, you don't get any bedding. And I said, well, can I put some shoes and socks? No shoes and socks, nothing. And I reckon it was maybe 4 or 5 days until finally they said, all right, the cell was clean enough. So I'd sort of learnt their routine and fucking made sure there was no dust up on the light, and you know, snuck a couple of extra squares of fucking paper towel. Big fucking deal. You know, and then they said, right, you can have a fucking toilet brush now. You know, and then they said, okay, we'll give you jocks. And it's like still in the fucking toot. I mean, they gave me this like a half blanket length, you know, so half as long as a single bed. So all that did is I stayed in my tutu, and it just covered my legs, if you like. And it's like, what the fuck? This is some fucking torture chamber or something. But, you know, that's apparently that's what they did. And there's no music, there's nothing, you know, and you could just hear the vent go off every now and again, like whatever the fuck that was about. Anyway, look, I'm going to have to make another video because I haven't even got through the first part of the third story. Anyway, I'll have to make another video.